I am that which is attained at the end of desire.
And welcome to Pagan FM. We're coming to you from South Jersey, the home of the Jersey Devil, and just outside of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. We open with Jenna Greene and her song Soul of Nature from her album Crossroads. Jenna is a lovely soul from New England, and I do miss seeing her since my move down here to New Jersey. And Jenna, if you're listening, we do need to get together again. And here in New Jersey, we had just another incredible snowstorm earlier this week on Monday. Well, last Sunday and Monday. It's kind of like winter took a look at us and said, nah, not just yet. Y'all ain't quite done. Here's a bit more snow. So my bike's back in the garage. Hopefully I'll be able to ride it, I don't know when, maybe in the next couple of days. And I spent Monday morning shoveling, trying to figure out if it was making me feel older or younger. And as I started writing the show today, I learned this morning, as I expect you all have, that the United States and Israel have gone to war against Iran. Initially, Donald Trump had warned Iran to give up its nuclear aspirations. When Iran agreed, Trump then decided that wasn't sufficient. The goalpost had changed, and the new requirement was regime change. I submit that regime change wasn't the point either. The real goal was the war itself. What Donald Trump is seeking is not safety via an Iran free from nuclear weapons. It's not a new regime either. Instead, he is seeking distraction from the Epstein files. He's trying to find an excuse to take over elections in the United States. He's trying to keep power in the hands of Republicans, despite the failures of his disastrous ineptitude. And we, and the entire planet, are his playing piece. As spiritual people, it's up to us, not necessarily to solve all of these problems. I don't think we are sufficient to do so. But what we can do is to be points of light, islands of sanity and serenity in this turbulent sea of violence and uncertainty. We do this by remaining grounded in our faith and centered in our traditions. We do this by remaining true to ourselves and our beliefs. Anyway, new artists this week. We do welcome Jenna Greene and Todd Alan and yes, of course, Dar Williams. So Jenna Greene, you've heard her before doing some backup vocals for Feather Scale, particularly on their song Hail and Farewell. Jenna is a lovely person and a lovely talent, and we're pleased to have her here on Pagan FM. Todd Alan is another pagan artist who's been around for a while and who has an interesting take on some classics. One of my favorites is his Lord of the Dance. If you've been listening for a little while, you've heard my review on the Testament of Ann Lee. Well, Lord of the Dance is an old Shaker hymn, but Todd took this and put it in a decidedly pagan twist, and I hope you'll enjoy that. We'll hear that in just a few minutes. One of the interesting things about Shakers is that they evolved from Quakers, and a central belief of Quakers is that there is that of God in each of us. And the line in Lord of the Dance, and I'll live in you if you live in me, really brings this home. I suppose that I love this because it touches so closely on both my Quaker and my pagan beliefs. So I'm going to share that with you right after I finish with the weather. And last but not least, among our new artists to the program is Dar Williams. Born in New York State, but making her home in the Boston area, I first became aware of her with her album, The Honesty Room. Her song, The Christians and the Pagans, has been a perennial favorite among pagan listeners around the time of the winter solstice, and we'll hear from her as well tonight. So really quick, taking a look at the weather here in the Philly area, it has been a beautiful sunny day with temperatures around 53 degrees this afternoon. Tonight, lows will get to around 32 degrees. It'll be partly cloudy and there will be patchy fog. Tomorrow on Sunday, we can expect a chance of showers with highs around 40 degrees. Temperatures will cool and the lows will reach 19 on Sunday night. On Monday, we can expect temperatures hovering just above freezing and lows around 19 again on Monday night. On Tuesdays, temperatures will rise to about low 40s and there will be a chance of rain and snow once again, with highs reaching the 50s possible on Wednesday. And with that, we'll get to Todd Alan and Lord of the Dance. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
When she danced on the water and the wind was her horn, the lady laughed and everything was born. And when she lit the sun and the light gave him birth, the Lord of the Dance first appeared on the earth. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance, cried he. Came with the dawning when the world was begun. I danced with the moon and the stars and the sun. And when I saw the light that was coming from the earth, I joined in the rhythm and she gave me birth. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance, cried he. I grow in the kernel and I bring forth the grain. I blow with the wind as I dance in the rain. When it's time for harvest, I will never feel the pain, for in spring I am Lord of the Dance once again. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance, cried he. I danced at the feast and stories I do tell. I dance and I sing that everyone be well. And when the dance is over, do not think that I am gone, for I live in the music, so I dance all along. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance, cried he. I danced in the circle when the flames leaped up high. I danced in the fire and I never ever die. Feel me in the drumming as I call to you. When you hear my voice, you'll know just what to do. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance. So dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the Dance, cried he, and I'll live in you if you live in me, and I'll lead you all in the dance, cried he.
threw your keys in the water. I looked back, they'd frozen halfway down in the ice. They froze up so quickly, the keys and their owners. Even after the anger, it all turned silent and the everyday turned solitary. So we came to February. First we forgot where we'd planted those bulbs last year, and then we forgot that we'd planted it all. Then we forgot what plants are all together, and I blamed you for my freezing and forgetting, and the nights were long and cold and scary. Can we live through February? You know, I think Christmas was a long red glare, shut up like a warning. We gave presents without cards, and then the snow came. We were always out shoveling, and we dropped to sleep exhausted, and we wake up and it's snowing. And February was so long that it lasted into March and found us walking a path alone together. You stopped and pointed and you said, "That's a crocus." And I said, "What's a crocus?" And you said, "It's a flower." I tried to remember, but I said, "What's a flower?" You said, "I still love you." The leaves were turning as we drove to the hardware store. My new lover made me keys to the house. And when we got home, well, we just started chopping wood, 'cause you never know how next year'll be. And we'll gather all our arms can carry. I have lost to February. Thank you.
All right, so that was Todd Alan with Lord of the Dance from his album Carry Me Home, and then we heard Dar Williams with February from her album Out There Live. I was so hoping I'd get to play that this month. Just such a beautiful piece of music. Anyway, continuing with our Understanding Paganism series, this week I wanted to talk about the Wheel of the Year with a focus on Ostara, which we're going to be focusing on this week, partly because we're going to be celebrating that coming up in a few weeks. So I want to talk a little bit about some things you might want to consider getting ready for your own celebration on that day. And while I said you won't need any tools, we're not going to be looking for things like a sword or a theme or anything like that at this point, but it might be nice to have a few things to get ready to help you with your ritual space. So first things first, as you get ready for Ostara, figure out where you're going to be, and then figure out what you might need to arrange your space when you get there. Right now, I'm going to mention some items you might want to have now so that you can have some time to start collecting them. Don't worry too much about this list. I plan on having the website up and running in the next week or so you'll be able to find everything that I'm writing up there when it is up. But to go over things briefly, first, it's nice to have some small candles to mark the directions just so you know where they are. This can be small battery-powered votive candles if you don't wish to have open flames, or real ones in a type of a lantern or something that are enclosed, or pretty much whatever works for you. Look at the space that you might want to use for ritual. Identify the directions, north, east, south, and west, and find a convenient place to put these. Obviously, if you're going to be in a wooded area, open flames might be out of the question. You don't want to start a forest fire doing ritual. You'll need something maybe to use as an altar cloth, or you can just use the grass. That's up to you. Or you can do it inside. Maybe a glass or some sort of chalice or something. It doesn't need to be ornate. A small container for salt, another one for water, and a small bowl to put them in. Maybe some sage or incense if you like. That could be helpful. If you do have an athame or a wand, you can use that, or you can just use your hands. And have some grape juice or wine and some bread or a mooncake. If you'd like to have mooncakes, they're kind of traditional. Here's a simple recipe. So a couple cups of flour, a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, a cup of unsalted butter, 1.5 cups of sugar, 4 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. For directions, preheat your oven to 350 degrees or 175 degrees Celsius, if that's the unit of measure that you happen to use. All right, sorry if the audio has made a change. I noticed a little issue with my setup here, and I've had some computer issues that I just remedied here a bit, so things might have changed a little bit. But anyway, once you've got your ingredients together and you've got your oven preheated, so take your flour and your baking powder, sift those together, and then blend your butter and sugar together until they're light and fluffy. Then fold the butter and sugar into your flour mixture. Then beat in the eggs one by one, and then your vanilla extract. So form those into about 3 to 4 inch crescent moon shapes and put those on a greased sheet pan, so grease or butter. And then bake them at 350 degrees, 175 C. And watch them because the baking time is going to depend on how thick you make these. That time is more like if you're going to be doing like a muffin tin sort of thing, so it might be a little bit quicker. But until a toothpick comes out clean. And you can prepare those the day prior to your ritual. And when you're making them, put your intentions and your energy into the batter as you're making them and as you form the cakes. Ideally, you'll have all these ready the day prior to the ritual. Along with everything else, try to have the text of the ritual ready. Over time, it'll be a whole lot easier to not so much memorize, but to understand what's going on, and you'll be able to kind of do it on the fly because you'll know where things are going, what the themes are. And I try to do things, again, not so much memorized and rote as kind of by feel, because I understand what's going on and it sort of flows. But when you're starting out, it's not a bad thing to have the paper or a booklet or a folder or something with you while you're doing things. And when I'm doing a brand new ritual, I'll have it with me also. So for now, let's start by taking a look at the Wheel of the Year. And at the end of this, we'll take a closer look at Ostara. Not a huge deep dive, but just kind of an overview for now. So as we're going to end with Ostara, we're going to start by taking a look tonight with Beltane, which is usually celebrated on May 1st, also known as May Day or Walpurgis Night. It is the recognition of the greening of the world of youthfulness and fertility. This day is associated with the Maypole dances and crowning the May Queen. And it's kind of interesting that when I went to grade school, we'd actually crown Mary at on the 1st of May. So there was a little bit of a holdover into Catholicism anyways. Next up is Litha, or Midsummer, or Alban Heffen by the Druids, and falling on the day of the summer solstice, usually right around June 21st, and this day celebrates the sun in its strength. It's also a turning point because with the sun at the height of its strength, from that point forward until the winter solstice, the sun will be declining in its strength. Then on August 1st, we come to Lunasa, or Lammas, or the first harvest. And this is also a celebration of the Celtic god Lugh for some, and it's also a common Wiccan holiday, and we give thanks for the first grains of the harvest. The autumn equinox comes up next, or Mabon, or Alban Elfid for the Druids. It's celebrated on around September 21st. The term Mabon was brought to us by Aidan Kelly, and it's the second harvest. Samhain, or All Hallows Eve, is a Gaelic festival held on October 31st or November 1st. It's known as the Day of the Dead, and from a pagan or Wiccan point of view, we see this as the time when the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead becomes thin, making it easier to communicate between these two worlds. Then on the winter solstice, on December 21st in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's called Alban Arthan by the Druids. It's also known as Midwinter and Yule. It's a time to celebrate the rebirth of the sun god as the sun ceases its descent and begins to rise again. Then we come to Imbolc, or Candlemas. We spoke about that a little bit earlier this year. It's celebrated on the 1st or 2nd of February. And it is a celebration of new life and coincides with the birth of lambs and the return of lactation to the ewes. It's a time when our ancestors recognized that the long wait of winter was nearing an end. Funny that here in South Jersey, since then, we've just been getting inundated with snow. And now we come to Ostara, or the vernal equinox, derived from a reconstruction by Jacob Grimm, famous brother of the Grimm's fairy tales. It's possibly from Esther, the Anglo-Saxon goddess. This holiday is known as Alban Ealer to the Druids. The traditional symbols of Easter are our symbols of Ostara, the Easter symbols that come from our fertility rites. The hares, the eggs, the flowers, they're natural symbols of fertility and the return of life and color to the world. In the springtime, hares breed in the spring, as do birds. This is why we have Easter bunnies and Easter eggs. They come to us from the celebration of the fertility of the earth. One traditional celebration for Ostara is to greet the sun with an early morning ritual. Christians recall this as well in their sunrise Easter services. One thing that I enjoy personally is walking or bicycling to work in the early mornings, in part because I'm often on my way prior to sunrise. I'll be doing the same with a particular emphasis on Ostara, on fertility, on the return of the spring, on my way to work on that particular day. I'll also be performing an on-air ritual on the Saturday prior to the actual date, so you can use that as a model for your own ritual, which you can conduct indoors or out of doors as you prefer. But this is the real basic short version of the Wheel of the Year. So now we're going to hear a bit of music, and then we'll move on to our Practical Pagan segment.
We want you to all join in this next song. So our mics pick you up. Earth, my body, water, my blood, Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood. Air my breath and fire my spirit, earth my body, water my blood, water my blood, water my blood. Dark sunlight and shining moon, east and south and west and north, hearken to the witch's room. Here we come to call ye forth. Earth and water, air and fire, wand and tentacle and sword, work ye unto soon. Here we come to call ye forth. Earth and water, air and fire, wand and pentacle and sword, walk ye unto our desire, hearken ye unto our word. Thank you. Good singing. Well sung.
Sheds its light upon the path that takes us far from worldly eyes. Yes, we will be there soon. See in the distance welcoming, there stands a woman and a man who bid us join their fairy ring and draw down, draw down, draw down the moon. With fire and water, earth and air, now we step the circle fair. Water and fire, air and earth, of love and life and death and birth. Air and earth, fire and water, the old ones watch us lest we falter. Earth, air, water and fire, let wisdom rule our heart's desire. In circles from the dawn of time, the ancients on the moor and heath gathered being of one mind to beg God's boon. Now candles burning fragrant embers, brilliant as our strong belief, all listen while the Lord remembered draws down, draws down, draws down the moon. With fire and water, earth and air, now we step the circle fair. Water and fire, air and earth, of love and life and death and birth. Air and earth, fire and water, the old ones watch us lest we falter. Earth, air, water and fire, let wisdom rule our heart's desire. In mantle of another college, the lady turns and speaks to all, reminds us of our inborn knowledge, often lost too soon. Seek me and you will not find me, if on empty hearts this falls. See me in yourself before you draw down, draw down, draw down the moon. With fire and water, earth and air, now we step the circle fair. Water and fire, air and earth, of love and life and death and birth. Air and earth, fire and water, the old ones watch us lest we falter. Earth, air, water and fire, let wisdom rule our heart's desire. Feed belly as you feed the mind, with honeyed cake and honeyed kiss. Sip ambrosiaed wine, dance gaily, sing a rousing tune. We bid the quartered gods adieu, the circle opened, all dismissed, but monthly we shall all renew and draw down, draw down, draw down the moon. With fire and water, earth and air, now we step the circle fair. Water and fire, air and earth, of love and life and death and birth. Air and earth, fire and water, the old ones watch us lest we falter. Air, water and fire, let wisdom rule our heart's desire. With fire and water, earth and air, now we step the circle fair. Water and fire, air and earth, of love and life and death and birth. Air and earth, fire and water, the old ones watch us lest we falter. Earth, air, water and fire, let wisdom rule our heart's desire.
All right, so that was Spiral Dance with Witch's Rune from their album Live, Warts and All. And then we heard Three Weird Sisters with Draw Down the Moon from their album Hair of the Frog. And tonight in our Practical Pagan segment, I wanted to talk about nonviolence and maybe more specifically pagan nonviolence. But as you probably know, I am a pagan and I'm also a Quaker. And as a Quaker, I believe in the principle of nonviolence. And this is more than a simple religious mandate. And I believe that it's been a part of who I've been all along. Hurting other people has never been a part of who I am. While I did serve in the military, it wasn't my choice. It was something I was told to do by my family and by my church. And growing up, I grew up in a way that I really didn't question what I was told. But I did make the choice to serve in a non-combat role. As pagans, we have many different views regarding violence. Some pagans view Wicca, for example, as having a sort of Pollyanna attitude because of the admonition to harm none. And some think that the Italian witchcraft idea of harm not the innocent makes more sense. They view this view appeals to a sense of fairness, to an idea of just compensation. It suggests that if we were wronged, we should be made whole. We have a sense of justice and a desire to be made whole, a desire for justice to be fulfilled. Throughout history, people have had differing views regarding violence. We have had those who have viewed it as necessary, with some seeing warriors as praiseworthy and battle as glorious. Likewise, we have had peacemakers and conscientious objectors and anti-war protesters. On each side, we have had vilification on the side of the other and consistent misrepresentation of each other's goals and positions. I've seen conscientious objectors labeled as cowards and military personnel labeled as warmongers. Aside from being generalizations, each of these is simply wrong. Are there some who love peace who are afraid of war? Certainly, as there are some in the military who also fear war, but fear is not the same thing as cowardice. Likewise, there are warmongers. Some wear uniforms, but many do not. Some have been draft dodgers. Sometimes it takes a great deal of courage to stand up against a thing that we know to be wrong when faced with imprisonment for doing so. While we don't face the same issues we did during the Vietnam War era, there are still people who engage in active protest against the government's military efforts. Some refuse to pay taxes which support the military budget. Some individuals refuse to register for selective service. These choices can have serious consequences. The people who make these choices are informed and are not acting out of cowardice. Nor are those entering the military today, for the most part, seeking out the glory of battle. Warfare today does not look the same as it did 1,000 or 500 or 250 or 100 or even 20 years ago. But warfare isn't the only form of violence, and soldiers aren't the only ones who engage in battle or combat. There is violence that we perpetrate against each other in society when we choose to treat each other as less than fully human. We do this when we decide to drive through a puddle to douse a pedestrian, or when we try to startle a cyclist either with our horn or by throwing something at them. I don't expect that the listeners of this program are the sort to do such things, but I've had these things happen to myself, and worse. We do these forms of violence when we start fights just for fun. We do this when we drink if we know that we might get violent when we do so. We engage in violence when we engage in spousal abuse. We engage in violence when we take part in microaggression against vulnerable groups. And we engage in political violence by using political power to target vulnerable groups, such as immigrants, refugees, minorities, the LGBTQIA population, and others. And some of us who consider ourselves peaceful may not be quite as peaceful as we think, should we choose to take a fearless personal inventory of our own use, support, and tolerance of violence. But between black and white, there are always shades of gray. As humans, we often seek binaries where things are more likely bimodal. We try to classify people as male or female and pretend that those who are intersex or other should simply choose one or the other. I was engaging with someone today who said that intersex are simply broken or have something wrong with them, and that it really doesn't prove that there is something other than male or female, that it's just genetic damage. It's not true. It's just different. And when it comes to violence, we want it to be right or wrong. When we classify something as always right or always wrong, that makes it easy. It eliminates ambiguity. We needn't make difficult moral evaluations and decisions. But when something isn't black and white, or black or white, when we're faced with that ambiguity, when it's a shade of gray and we don't have a higher authority to appeal to, we need to think long and hard about our own morals and our own principles. As I've been writing this, I've thought about my own children and how far I might go or might have gone to protect them. They're both adults now. I know for a fact that if someone would have threatened them when they were children, I would have been there. I don't know how far I might have taken things. I know for myself in the past I've been beaten. I've had a knife at my throat. I've been shot at. And on a recent x-ray, they found a BB, or a piece of birdshot pellet was found in my hand. I have a habit of dissociating when things get violent, and I don't always remember what happened to me. But I remember part of something that did happen when I was young. Behind the house where I grew up, there were railroad tracks, and I was walking along them one day, and I was accosted by two boys, and one of them wanted to fight me. I didn't want to fight. He hit me. I wouldn't fight. He hit me again and broke my glasses, and I apologized for the ding. I told him that he or his family would have to pay for them, and he said I wasn't going to leave without a fight. At that point, I blacked out, and when I came back, I was on top of him, and his head was in my hands, and I was ready to smack it into the gravel ballast by the railroad tracks. But I didn't. For many years, that scene haunted me, and the idea that I could have seriously hurt someone bothered me. But one day in therapy, I came to the realization that I didn't hurt that boy. I had the opportunity to, but I didn't. Instead, I only used the amount of force necessary to protect myself from greater harm, and I avoided hurting him unnecessarily. I take from this that for my entire life I've wrestled viscerally with the struggle between peacefulness and self-defense, or between peacefulness and defense of the vulnerable. When I was first considering becoming a Quaker, I was struck by the words of a man named James Naylor. He was an early 17th century Quaker and an outspoken critic of the Church of England and other established churches. He was tortured for heresy. At one point, he had a hot iron pike driven through his tongue. On his deathbed, he wrote in part, "There is a spirit which I feel that delights to do no evil, nor to revenge any wrong, but delights to endure all things in hope to enjoy its own in the end. Its hope is to outlive all wrath and contention, and to weary out all exaltation and cruelty, or whatever is of a nature contrary to itself. It sees to the end of all temptations. As it bears no evil in itself, so it conceives none in thoughts to any other. If it be betrayed, it bears it, for its ground and spring is the mercies and forgiveness of God. Its crown is unfeigned, and takes its kingdom with entreaty, and not with contention, and keeps it by lowliness of mind." The idea of finding joy in simply not doing evil, in outliving wrath, these things intrigued me and attracted me to a Quaker way of life. As an aside, unlike cults that I had been a part of, these words of James Naylor and the great writings of other famous Quakers weren't recommended to me by Quakers. These were things that I discovered in my own research. I remember hearing people who were surprised at what I was reading. Quakers don't seem to proselytize. They're a strange lot. Anyway, in recent days, I've come to the understanding that James Naylor's words aren't, or don't have to be uniquely Quaker. Rather, they can be emblematic of any spiritual person who values life as sacred and recognizes the love and joy and peace that is a gift of the divine. As I've committed to following a pagan path, to following the goddess, I've come to understand that Naylor's words aren't in conflict with my pagan ways. Naylor was decidedly a Christian, and as for me, I like Christ's words, but I've come to the conclusion that the Bible isn't what it claims. So I took to Christ's philosophy, but I recognize what the church did to pagan religions over time, or I recognize what the church did to pagan religions over time, and I can see that it tried to do to Quakers the exact same thing. I think that Christ preached peacefulness, as did Naylor after him, and I see that in the Wiccan Rede. I was talking to my roommate this morning, explaining the idea of harm none, and how it also implies that we avoid harm not only to other human beings, but to ourselves and to the earth as well. I've recently come to the conclusion that while war is distasteful, pacifism is not sustainable without those who are willing to fight for the right for pacifists to exist. It comes down to the paradox of tolerance, which suggests that a society that is completely tolerant to the point of being tolerant to intolerance will eventually be overtaken by the intolerant groups. Likewise, a pacifist group in a militarized society, unless other safeguards are in place, will also be overtaken. Rights need to be protected, and that protection needs to be enforced. I wish that we could live in a world where problems could be solved with diplomacy and rhetoric. But for as long as there are people and nations that are willing to utilize violence to achieve their goals, there must be a mechanism to meet and counter that violence. The pacifist actually needs the one willing to engage in violence with force in order to exist. Likewise, unless those committed to using force, the person and committed to using force is in need of someone dedicated to diplomacy and peacefulness for war and bloodshed to end. Both skills are essential in this world. As one who is dedicated to peace, though, it's important to recognize and point out when the abuses of warfare and violence take place. The atom bombs dropped on Japan in World War II, the war in Vietnam, and the current attack on Iran are all examples of warfare conducted for unjust reasons. And there are many other examples. For those dedicated to peace, we cannot simply sit back and enjoy the benefit of freedom. We must engage our governments and hold them accountable for the abuses of power which they have the authority to wield. When governments are not holding themselves accountable to their citizens, they're breaking a sacred trust, and it's up to us to rein in such governments. Nonviolent tactics can include speaking up, demonstrations, general strikes, boycotts, flooding our lawmakers with telephone calls, emails, and postal mail. We can use civil disobedience. We can disrupt government activities that we find wrong. We can document what they are doing and report it far and wide. We can stand up and help those the government is prosecuting, as Quakers did for the Underground Railroads, for both slaves and those escaping the draft. Today, though, with rampant government surveillance, with their use of artificial intelligence, license plate scanners, facial recognition, and technologies that we probably haven't even yet heard of, it might be more difficult than it was, but this means that we need to be creative. But as pagans, creativity is implied in our religion. We can and should be doing spell work. We can get more in touch with nature and our natural spaces and find ways to make something of an Underground Railroad work today. Perhaps we could create a digital Underground Railroad with alternative networks for communication. Anyway, as I was finishing the writing of this segment, I was reminded of a Star Trek episode called Patterns of Force, in which a society was modeled after Nazi Germany. Someone tried to rebuild that, but in a benevolent fashion. It illustrates how a society was able to descend into fascism when it's presented as a viable alternative. If you want to look at it, it's Season 2, Episode 21, and it's far more poignant today than it was some years ago. I think it's worth a watch. Anyway, we're going to listen to a little more music, and then we're going to get into a book review, something that I found really special and interesting. But for now, a little more music.
Once a very long, long time ago, but beyond the time of kings, lived a dragon who became a beast and grew too heavy for its wings. He threatened fire and death to all. He threatened many things. So the townfolk brought from all around all the wealth that they could bring. But some of them were curious and they said, "What is it for?" And when they brought him all they had, his answer was, "Bring more. And by the way, I'll need your sons and daughters for the coming war." Somebody said, "Hey now, hey now, one on a little piece now. Hey now, hey right now, one on a little piece now. Peace now, right now, one on a little piece now." Came a woman from the closest town to the cave in which he lived, and at the entrance laid her body down, saying, "I shall not be moved." And she said, "I'll not cooperate. I will feed your cause no more. No matter what you do to me, I'll not feed your filthy war." And he snorted, and he snarled, and he bared his teeth with rage. And with his massive talons, well, he crushed her like an egg. And he roared at their defiant stance, and he shouted at them, "More I said, more I said." Another took her place in line, saying, "You can do the same to me, but no more will we comply." And another joined, till 100,000 stood behind. There were so many people saying no, you couldn't hurt them if you tried. He saw determination, and he saw that it was true, that with the whole world watching there was nothing he could do. So he snuck back to his cave a while to wait for maybe me or you. silence or agreement, or a time when he doesn't hear. Hey now, hey now, why not a little peace now? Hey now, hey now, we'll keep a little peace now. Peace now, right now, how about a little peace now? Hey now, we need a little peace now. Hey now, hey right now, why not a little peace now? Peace now, right now, we need a little peace now.
We all watched you on our TV. Right honourable gentlemen, apparently. Different voices with only one aim: to win my vote and to win the game. Now some have died to pave the way, so we can vote come polling day. X marks the spot that gives us our voice. But how do we vote when there isn't a choice? If you thought that we would do nothing, you've misunderstood. For we are the sons and daughters of Robin Hood. This time around the stones, and the poll tax riots of Trafalgar Square. The rich, they got richer, the poor were stripped bare. Building new roads with no thought for the land, and the blood of the bean field is still on your hands. Now drilling off Shetland will do you just fine, and you wanted to sell off our forests like you closed down mines. If you thought that we would do nothing, you've misunderstood. For we are the sons and daughters of Robin Hood. There's nothing There's nothing to see, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see, won't you just look away? There's nothing to see here. Oh, England's green and pleasant land is not there to put cash in your hands. I see your symbol is the English oak tree. Is that your idea of irony? Now millions of eyes have turned upon you, and each one is watching what you will do, and all are ready to spoil your game. For the blood of an outlaw, it flows in our veins. If you thought that we would do nothing, you've misunderstood. For we are the sons and daughters of Robin Hood.
All right, so that was Gaia Consort, or as they're known now, Bone Poets Orchestra, with Peace Now from their album Evolve. And then we heard Dave the Bard with Sons and Daughters of Robin Hood from his album Antlered Crown and Standing Stone. And now it's time for a different sort of review. The book is called Saint Damned, and the author is Ty Drago. And I've never really reviewed a novel by an author who wasn't a pagan on this program before. In fact, the only novels I've reviewed were, there was one by Raymond Buckland, then there was High Magic's Aid by Gerald Gardner, Sea Priestess by Dion Fortune, and one or two by Ellen Everett Hopman. And aside from that single one by Buckland, these have all been written for more spiritual purposes, where Buckland actually tried to write one. He wrote some works of fiction purely as entertainment purposes for the mass market. Saint Damned is the first novel by a secular author that I've reviewed. So before I get started, why did I do that? For full transparency, Ty is a friend of mine. He lives here in South Jersey. And to use something of a pun here that he may or may not appreciate, the author of Saint Damned is a damned good writer. At the beginning of 2025, before I decided to restart this show, I wanted to do some more reading, and I was hoping to read at least a book a month, and Saint Damned had just been published. It was the first book I read in 2025. And I wound up reading just over one book per week in 2025, so Ty got me started on that. He's a good friend, and he's a good writer. But the main character in this book is a Wiccan, so I figured it was a good fit for the program, and that being said, here goes. What happens when the lives of a Wiccan paranormal researcher, the FBI, the mob, a demonic priest, one Jonah Ray Barton, bent on building an army of bribes, his forever congregation, in an abandoned church in Camden, New Jersey, all intersect in the imagination of a South Jersey writer. When Dr. Maya Lakatos is called to the FBI field office in Newark, New Jersey to provide her expertise on a case, little does she know that she'll be asked to relive the one experience she most desperately wishes she could forget. Years prior, she was working on a paranormal investigation at one of the most haunted locations in the United States, an abandoned Lutheran church in Camden, New Jersey, with such profoundly negative energy that dead-end section of the street had been entirely abandoned. Some attributed the desolation to the swamp at the end, perhaps toxic chemicals left over from industry. Perhaps it was simply the blight of Camden in decline. Whatever the reason, nobody wanted to be on that part of that street. Not even drug dealers or users, apparently. But the FBI had a tip that a major drug deal was going down at an abandoned bowling alley within view of the church, which they planned on using for surveillance. Maya, in no uncertain terms, informs them that this is a horrible idea. People will, not might, but will die, as always happens at St. Damian's. But the FBI and the DEA have the law and technology on their side. Maya has spirituality and her own psychic abilities on her side. The mob has their greed and cleverness on their side. And Jonah Ray Barton has the powers of evil and his forever congregation, an army of possessed spirits and brides on his side. Who will win? Who will die and join Barton's army? Who will lose? What dark secrets will be uncovered along the way? Can the forces at St. Damian's ever be defeated, or will this part of Camden be forever subject to the forces of St. Damned? Initially, I had some problems with the slightly unrealistic portrayal of Wicca, but I also realized that a realistic treatment of what Wicca is would be as exciting as that of pretty much any religion. We're pretty normal folk, and it's not every day that we come across demonic spirit priests who need to be fought. And to fight demons that don't actually exist would require powers that don't actually exist, so a suspension of reality for the purpose of fiction isn't necessarily a bad thing. So in demonstrating her ability, Maya is able to drain power from a cell phone and use it for other purposes with her mind. I set that aside, recognizing that I'm partially in the realm of fantasy. Also, were it possible, it would be a really neat trick. As for the struggle with paranormal forces, this is a really exciting read. It's far more exciting than what actually happens, but that's the point. Once again, the real thing gets kind of boring. That's why TV ghost hunting programs rely on spooky music, zoom effects, sound and video editing, and the like to make those programs far more engaging than the actual events are. Ty does this with absolutely engaging writing. As readers, we wind up cheering on our heroes, mourning the fallen, and possibly gaining a bit of satisfaction when some unsavory types get a bit of what they deserve. It's an exciting read and well worth the time you'll spend as you do. If you're a sensitive reader, the subject matter might be a bit triggering, so I will caution you about that. Cult survivors, SA survivors, RA survivors, please be aware that there could be sensitive content. Other than that, it's a really good read, and I recommend it, not just because the author is a friend. And for our Pagan FM Almanac, it's a little bit short this week. Today is February 28th. The waxing gibbous moon is currently in Cancer, and the full moon will be on March 3rd. The sun is in Pisces and will remain there until March 20, which is also when we will be celebrating Ostara.
Hey there, Mr. Pinocchio man, I heard you once had a killer plan for the land of the free and the home of the brave. heard you had some family ties. I heard you set up some alibis, and that fellow Geppetto carved a new nose on your face long time ago, when there were strings on our kings, black, gold, and diamond rings, when there were strings tangling till a brave bird cut them. Then it was ashes to ashes when they finally fell down, and in the rubble a country was found. Oh, hey there, Mr. Puppet Boy, I heard you used to play with toys. Set the soldiers up, knock the soldiers down. I heard the people were your employer, but you took your strength in God and oil. Bravado's the band-aid that comforts the clown long time ago, when there were strings on our kings, black, gold, and diamond rings, when there were strings tangling till a brave bird cut them. Then it was ashes to ashes when they finally fell down, and in the rubble a nation was found, root bound. Oh, 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 how I looked forward to be looking back. God bless the soldiers, Goddess bless all souls under attack. And wash away the shame, though it was not in my name. And wash away the shame from a long time ago, when there were strings on our kings, black, gold, and diamond rings, when there were strings tangling till a brave bird cut them. Then it was ashes to ashes when they finally fell down. This country was built on the sound of freedom. Got too hot for a boy of wood who got confused about where he stood on the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, say, can you see? I won't forget when Peter Pan came to my house, took my hand. I said I was a boy, I'm glad he didn't check. I learned to fly, I learned to fight, I lived a whole life in one night. We saved each other's lives out on the pirate deck. And I remember that night when I'm leaving a late night with some friends, and I hear somebody tell me it's not safe, someone should help me. I need to find a nice man to walk me home. When I was a boy, I scared the pants off of my mom, climbed what I could climb up all alone. And I don't know how I survived, I guess I knew the tricks that all boys knew. And you can walk me home, but I was a boy too.
a kid that you would like, just a small boy on her bike, riding topless. Yeah, I never cared who saw. My neighbor came outside to say, get your shirt. I said, no way, it's the last time. I am not breaking any law. And now I'm in this clothing store, and the sign said less is more. More that's tight means more to see. More for them, not more for me. That could help me climb a tree 10 seconds flat. When I was a boy, see that picture, that was me, grass-stained shirt and dusty knees. And I know things that gotta change. They got pills to sell, they got implants to put in, they got implants to remove. But I am not forgetting that I was a boy too. Like the woods where I would creep, but it's a secret I can keep. Except when I'm tired, except when I'm being caught off guard. And I've had a lonesome, awful day. The conversation finds its way to catching fireflies out in the backyard. And so I tell the man I'm with about the other life I lived. And I say, now you're Top Gun, I have lost and you have won. And he says, oh no, can't you see? When I was a girl, my mom and I, we always talked. And I picked flowers everywhere that I walked. And I could always cry. Now even when I'm alone, I seldom do. And I have lost some kindness, but I was a girl too, and you were just like me, and I was just like you. Thank you so much.
All right, we just heard Celia Ferran with Strings on Our Kings from her album Red, Alabaster, and Blue. And then we heard Dar Williams with When I Was a Boy from her album Out There Live. So I have to say, the first time I heard When I Was a Boy, I broke down crying. So for those of you who don't know, I grew up thinking I was trans. I did not know that I actually had an intersex condition. When I was younger, as a teen, I told my parish priest how I felt. And what did I hear? I heard, "You're going to hell." Not anything encouraging, not even "you might need to change," not even, just nothing. Just, "You're going straight to hell." My parents were constantly on me, and that, I mentioned earlier in the show that I was told I was going into the military. That was why. This parish priest and my parents arranged with a neighbor who was an Army National Guard recruiter that I would go into the Army National Guard. That was why. They figured that would make a man out of me. it didn't really work. When I was growing up, I was smaller than my brothers. My voice didn't develop the way theirs did. I never got an Adam's apple. I still looked, for the most part, male, but something was off. And it wasn't until a few years ago with genetic testing and things that I actually found out that I have a genetic intersex condition. But I grew up thinking I was trans. And this song by Dar Williams, the first time I heard it, it hit so hard. And it's good to know that there's people out there who actually get it. But if you're struggling, or if you know someone who's struggling with gender issues, someone who's trans, there's an organization out there called Trans Lifeline, and they help with so much more than just counseling. They're really good people. It's run by trans people for trans people, and they help trans people however you might need it. You can find them online, and you just look for Trans Lifeline. They have a telephone number, 877-565-8860. If you're on the website and you're kind of afraid, there's an X button on the bottom right that will take you away instantly. So you just click on that button and you're right at the Google homepage. So it takes you away quickly. So you don't have to worry like someone's coming up, oh, they're going to see it. The reason I bring this up is because there has been so much anti-trans bigotry and hatred online that's been let loose by the current administration. Kansas has just passed laws that overnight made trans people's driver's licenses invalid overnight. A lot of stuff has been going on. People are scared. So you need to take care of yourselves. So Dar, thank you so much for that song. It meant a lot to me when I needed it. Anyway, right now, let's take a look at our herb of the week. So this week we're taking a look at basil, which is another herb that's used both medicinally and in cooking. It's one that we probably all have. You can buy it at your grocery store at a live plant in many cases. Basil is an important part of Italian, Mediterranean, and Asian cuisine. With its sweet, peppery flavor, it finds uses in pesto and caprese salad and Italian dishes. It pairs well with tomato-based sauces, grain-based dishes, and finds its way into curries and pho. Medicinally, basil contains the essential oils eugenol, linalool, cineol, geraniol, and methylchavicol, which provides its aroma and therapeutic properties. It's a good source of vitamins A, K, and C, and the minerals manganese and iron. It's been used to improve digestive issues and respiratory disorders in Ayurveda. In Chinese medicine, it's been used to improve digestion, to treat headaches, and to help with kidney function. It may be useful in helping to reduce inflammation, such as arthritis and IBS. It has antimicrobial properties. It's high in antioxidants and may be useful for treating skin conditions, such as acne. Basil has been tested with positive results in helping to treat migraine headaches. It's been tested for anti-cancer activity and antiviral activity. In short, it's a well-researched herb with many benefits that most of us have this in our kitchens. Spiritually, basil is known for purification, protection, love, and abundance. It's used much like sage to help cleanse spaces and objects and to rid negative energy with the burning of dried leaves. Using it as a basil tea, one can gain benefits drinking the tea while setting an intention. Fresh leaves on an altar can be used to help with spells to amplify energy or to help with prosperity spells. And carrying a sachet can help with grounding or protection. So overall, it is a very beneficial herb. and very common. In our Oppression Watch segment, tonight I want to mention some names you might not have heard of before. Anthropic, and I'm going to give them a little bit of a shout out tonight. They are holding their own in at least keeping some sense of morals and drawing a line with the government. But Anthropic, Palantir, Booz Allen Hamilton, SOS International, Primer AI, ECS, Core 4CE, Seeker, and I'm sure there are many more. Our state and federal governments are relying on these names, these companies, which are all providers of AI tools to spy on us and the world. And they want AI to do more than just spy on us. This past week, it came out that Pete Hegseth considers it woke if he can't get companies like Anthropic to use AI to actually deploy weapons without human intervention. He wants guardrails removed from AI that prevent these systems from doing things that they simply don't want them doing. And he's threatening companies like Anthropic if they stick to their morals and won't bend to his will. And in case any of you have wondered why it is that so many data centers are going up all over the country, again, I'm sorry for that. I'm not sure what's going on. I set my phone to do not disturb, but it's still beeping. Anyways, in case you've wondered why it is that so many data centers are going up all over the country and why Donald Trump is considering it such a priority, if you think it's just so that Copilot can give you quick answers to your questions, that is not it. In fact, if you're researching things and Copilot is giving you answers, you can bet your bottom dollar that the government is building more and more of a profile on what it is that you're researching while you're doing it. Every search, every website that you're visiting today, these are being logged, and threat assessments are being compiled. Have you checked to find out where a No Kings protest is going to be held? Have you done a web search for the Anarchist's Cookbook? Have you looked to find out where you can find your copy of 2600 magazine, or have you found it online? The government is building profiles. Congratulations. At best, you're someone they're interested in. In other news, I'm seeing more, as I mentioned before, and more anti-trans bot activity, so much so that it's difficult to believe that it is not sponsored. It's on humor sites, it's all over threads, and if anyone posts anything almost anywhere that is trans positive, if it's on any sort of public post, it will get almost immediate anti-trans attention, which leads me to believe that there is some sort of coordination. But this also gets me to thinking recently, is there some sort of link between bigotry and narcissism? Certainly in both, a complete lack of empathy, a fragile ego, and a pathological need for a feeling of superiority seem to be at play. Over the years, there have been attempts to add bigotry itself to the DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. As yet, it does not have its own diagnosis, but it can be a part of other diagnoses, and the elements of bigotry are certainly elements of other disorders, such as narcissistic personality disorder. People who engage in anti-trans bigotry understand well how their behavior impacts those they try to bully. They understand that the type of behavior has in the past led to people taking their own lives, and they're okay with that. This utter lack of empathy is a sign of a severe mental illness. It could easily be part of a diagnosis of something like narcissistic personality disorder. I'm not a therapist. I can't make a diagnosis. What I can do is suggest that if you know bigots, that the best thing you can do is stay away from them. Relationships with bigots are like relationships with narcissists. With their fragile egos, they need to be right, and the only way to navigate life with them is to stay away from what triggers them. If they're anti-trans, you have to stay away from trans people. If they're anti-gay, you've got to stay away from gay people. If they're racist, you have to live in an area where they won't be racially triggered. In short, big cities are filled with landmines, and where bigots tend to be comfortable, you won't find much diversity. You might find another form of bigotry, though, in misogyny. This also goes along with conservative Christianity, or more specifically, the ultra-conservative Christianity, especially the nationalistic sort. But at this point, we're getting back into cult territory. Anyway, what I've done recently regarding these anti-trans bigots, when I see them online, is I just simply ask them, why, when they post their anti-trans rhetoric, is I just ask them why it is, if they're so anti-trans, that they seem to want trans women in the bathrooms with them. What is so attractive about trans women that they feel this insane need to be in bathrooms with trans women? I've not yet had one of them answer me. It seems that tends to shut them up. So, for now, that's the way I'm handling it. And that's the way I am handling their whatever it is that they're dishing out. It seems to work. Anyway, I think it's time for a little more music, and then we'll get into what's going to be going on next week. But yeah, let's start winding the show down. Let's see what I can find in our record stacks here.
From the center of the circle, I can see the world in all directions streaming out from me. With the eyes of my soul, I see my four reflections. From the center of the circle, I can see the world in all directions streaming out from me. With the eyes of my soul, I see my four reflections. Yeah, yeah. As the infant in the east begins to open his eyes, the fire from within will ignite the sky. In this moment I am my own creation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Growing wild within myself, let your nectar fill my mouth. I will drink of all desire, dance to midday sun, my sire. I can face the four directions.
glorious day of redeeming. Man has gone on his magical way, but me when all's day leaves me spinning. Sweetly it threw me the sound that went through me, as if sure it knew me, a maiden song laughing on. Sure that I hear it, but let me draw near it. I want to be fully parted in spring.
Right, so that was Ginger Doss with Four Directions from her album Hand and Hammer. And then we heard Todd Alan with Spring Strathspey from his album Carry Me Home. So on next week's show, I've been thinking a lot this week about the problem that American Christianity is facing as it's being led down a very dark path. The problem is that American Christians are being lied to by their leaders, and they're being used for political purposes instead of spiritual purposes, or instead of being instructed in spiritual purposes. And I'm wondering if there is something that we as pagans can do to help them see and understand this. Much as pagans centuries ago were duped by colonizers who tricked us with false religious claims, so too are conservative Christians being duped by those with nationalistic ideals under the guise of Christ. Can the duplicitous experiences we faced both in the early days of Christianity or Christian colonization and in the burning times be the inspiration today as nationalists under the guise of Christianity attempt to use that religion once again to gain power over people and a nation? I'll explore this in the Practical Pagan segment. In our book review, I'll be taking a look at yet another classic. This time we'll look at Charles Godfrey Leland's 1899 book Aradia, or The Gospel of the Witches. This is a book that informed much of modern witchcraft and Wicca, both in philosophy and in liturgy. Of course, there'll be plenty of music and the rest of the segments, some of which I haven't quite worked out yet. We'll see what happens throughout the week. And I am not sure when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, but something has been on my mind, and it hit me quite hard this week. And that is the idea of, I guess, more formally approaching this as a personal dedication to the goddess as a ministry. And I'm not sure what form that's going to take. Maybe it'll take the form of ritual dedication to this as a ministry. I am not sure yet. But it really struck me very, very deeply this week. And I just had the feeling that there was something there. So maybe there will be something of a dedication ritual. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but that might be coming up. Anyway, I am going to bid you farewell this week, and I will close out this show with S.J. Tucker's Witch's Rune, and blessed be.
Darksome night and shining moon, balance of the dark and light, hearken ye, O witch's rune, as we perform our sacred rite. earth and water, air and fire, by blade and bowl and circle round. We come to you with our desire, let all that is hidden now be found. With censer, candle, book and sword, and ringing of the altar bell, we tie a knot within our cord to bind our magic in a spell. Mother of the summer fields, goddess of the silver moon, join with us as power builds, dance with us our witch's rune. Father of the summer dew, hunter of the winter snows, with open arms we welcome you, dance with us as power grows. Dance with us our witch's rune. Dance with us our witch's rune. Dance with us our witch's rune. Mother of the summer fields, goddess of the silver moon, join with us as power builds, dance with us our witch's rune. Father of the summer dew, hunter of the winter snows, with open arms we welcome you, dance with us as power grows. Dance with us, dance with us, dance with us, witches, dance with us, dance with us, witches rule. By all the light of moon and sun, by all the might of land and sea, chant the rune and it is done, as we will so motive.